We pulling?
Hey, I'm Zax, and here's our guide to Nexus-Princess Ky'veza, the 6th boss in Nerub-ar Palace. This guide is brought to you by Wowhead and their brand new raid cheat sheets, which we'll tell you more about right after the boss. Also, big thank you to our supporters on Patreon. Hope you'll enjoy all the Patreon exclusive content we've got coming out this tier, like extended heroic guides and more. Alright, so Ky'veza is this purple Assassin's Creed looking lady. She has 2 alternating phases, which are entirely single target, and you'll want a Bloodlust on pull. Phase 1 is mainly about all these rifts that spawn and try to suck everybody into them, one-shotting anyone that touches them. And the goal of the phase is to spawn the rifts sorta opposite from each other around the room, so each of their sucks kinda cancels each other out and everybody ends up safe in the middle of the room. So here's how you do that. Tank the boss toward one of the corners of the big hexagon pattern on the ground and keep her there the whole phase. And when random players get these purple circles around them, they need to spread out around the outside of the room, ideally standing on different corners of the hexagon to make things easy to see. After a couple seconds, the circles spawn these shadow images that just kind of stand around, but they are where the rifts come from. When the boss casts Nether Rift shortly afterward, she spawns a rift on herself as well as every shadow image, and then they all suck for a few seconds. If you spread the images out decently enough, you won't even have to run against the suck because they cancel each other out, but definitely do run if you're a little too close to a rift. Shortly after that, each shadow image starts casting a charge toward a random player, which you can see based on these blue beams, and the only way to tell if you're targeted by one is by looking to see if one of the beams is red. If one of them is red, that image is about to charge through you. So you need to run over close to it and ideally face the charge toward the outside of the room. This makes it so the charge is easy for everyone else to dodge and makes it so the images don't end up clumped together, which would make the following sucky rifts a little more difficult to deal with. If your image is already super far away, it's fine to aim it toward the middle, just make sure the charge is short and it'll be alright. After that, you get more rifts to deal with, and the rest of the phase just alternates between the rift spawning and the ads charging. But there are some other mechanics to deal with in the phase. There are these blue lines on the ground for everyone to dodge, which come from the boss and all the images. The boss actually tries to execute anyone who gets below 10% health, so healers have to be extra on point in this fight. The tanks have a taunt swap mechanic to deal with. When the boss casts Void Shredders, it does huge mixed damage to the tank and leaves a dot on them that makes them take more damage from the following Void Shredders. So the tank with the boss just has to use a big defensive cooldown, and then the other tank taunts right after the cast. And on heroic, anyone that gets hit by the purple circles that spawn the shadow images or gets hit by the charge from the images gets a short dot that explodes on them when it expires, also sending out projectiles on the ground for everyone to dodge. So anyone with the dot needs to spread out away from everyone before it expires. Eventually, when the boss reaches full energy, she stops all those mechanics and starts phase 2, where she goes to the middle of the room and starts a long channel that pulses raid-wide damage. These blue lines constantly go on random players, which do damage to anyone in the line after a couple seconds. So everyone has to avoid being in each other's lines and try not to move the lines around too much. And on heroic, these blue cones spawn on the ground and explode after a couple seconds, so everyone has to avoid being in those. They actually rotate around in a predictable way, so if you kind of stay in one area, you shouldn't have to move very much the whole phase. At the end of the channel, the boss starts phase 1 over again, and it's rinse and repeat. Just make sure to do enough damage to kill the boss before the 3rd phase 2, because then she enrages and that phase gets real nasty. And that's pretty much it. For our recaps this tier, we're excited to introduce the new Wowhead cheat sheets, a quick and easy way to get all of the key info for every boss in Nerub-ar Palace, including concise strategies, key assignments, and any pro tips you might need. So check out the cheat sheet link in the description. Thanks again to our supporters on Patreon. We've got a ton of Patreon exclusive content coming this tier, like extended heroic guides, mythic guides, and a bunch more. So check out that link below. See you next time.